I'm Kathy Kennedy, and I pioneered the Birth Attendant School.
My name's David. This is my wife, Darcy. She leads the Birth Attendant School. This is Micah.
I just want to tell you that it's really amazing to hold a new life and to speak truth and salvation over it. This year in Hyderabad, India, we were able to do that over 522 babies. These babies are from Hindu and Muslim families. I really believe God is affecting the generation through our prayers.
I remember one morning we were having our usual intercession time, and we were praying specifically for Muslim women. And as we began to pray, God revealed His heart and His burden for women of the world, and it was out of this time that the Birth Attendant School was birthed.
Just praying for each of those babies and believing that God will change that generation through our prayers over those babies.
So teach me to see your face, and teach me to hear your voice, and teach me to feel.
And one thing that I really love about the school is that it has a heart to reach Muslim women.
And I can honestly say that the Birth Attendant School was a year that changed my life.
I've got blue skies
As the Birth Attendant School went into Hyderabad this last year, as we go into the labor room with the women, we would just come alongside them. We'd have a chance to do a bit of massage, encourage them, praying over them. And then one day when I was speaking to the superintendent, she said to me, I was with the medical students, and I said, you see how those students, they stand next to the mother, they stay with her, you should do that also, take their example, and you guys are always smiling. She really noticed that about us, and I was really, really encouraged as the leader, as taking this group in and training them, that we were standing out, and I was thought that was a really amazing testimony, and that's what we continued to do as we were there in the hospital, just really being with the women, doing what we could as the Lord directed us, cleaning them, even though that wasn't the normal thing to do, but just cleaning them as we could, staying with them, continuing to be watchmen, checking for the baby's heart, the little things that would get missed at times. We just continued to do those things.
I came to do this school because I saw two mothers dying in the middle of the jungle that were bleeding and dying. And I asked myself if there anything that I could do. Being a birth attendant is one of the very powerful ministry that will shape the history of the nations.
She wasn't just a number, she was an individual loved by Jesus.
And that's something that I think is God's heart for women, that they would be raised up and to be proud of who He created them to be.
And teach me to feel your heart.
Feeling the presence of God there and knowing while I'm sitting there with women who are suffering and I hear God's voice saying, this is where I am, this is where I am.
Not just with the happy times when you're catching babies, but also in the sad times when you're just be able to be with them and to be show them the love of Jesus when something goes wrong and their baby dies.
The experience of life and death so close together at the same time.
To hold her hand and to cry with her, and it just really brought home what being a midwife is all about. It's about being with the women in the good times and the bad as well.
Hi, I'm Matthias from Sweden. I'm married with Heather. She's one of the ladies in the Birth Attendant School in Perth. And I went to the outreach to Egypt and India. Went there with an open heart and see what I could do. And I went up to the nursery and I found 3 abandoned babies, 3 girls, praying over her and all the other orphan babies there as well. And we saw her in a few months to go from almost certain death to life. There's so much that we can do, even for husbands going in a team like the birth attendants. We can do so much.
And I've got blue skies and I care for more. And I've got blue skies, I care for more. And I've got blue skies.
One of the things we do before we go on outreach is we make these little baby hats, and we call them helmets of salvation. Anyway, I remember one time we were on outreach and we were experiencing this difficult delivery and the baby wasn't coming. So we began to pray and ask God to intervene. Eventually the baby did come, but it was very lifeless and needed resuscitation. And as we were under the pressure of resuscitating this baby, I heard God say to me, I want you to get one of those little hats and put it on this baby's head. And so we did that, and when the baby, when we put the hat on the baby's head, his little lungs began to fill up with air, and he gave this huge big cry, and he came back to life.
And one thing that really changed my life was the stay in the hospital where there was a little baby that was born, and there was no life, there was nothing, no heartbeat, the baby came out lifeless.
And then the doctor comes back later and says, actually, well, this baby's dead.
And the doctor came in and said, this baby's dead and it's stillborn and it's not alive.
The baby comes out fine, the delivery went well, and the baby came out and blinked at me.
And suddenly, the little boy took a breath, and then he took another one.
Holly, Holly, this baby's alive, this baby's alive.
After 45 minutes of having a lifeless baby, suddenly there was life.
I looked back at this woman's paperwork, and it said that the scan said that there's no fetal heart rate. I really believe that God did a miracle that day in India.
So glory to Jesus. He does raise people from the dead, and I saw it with my own eyes.
We want to see hundreds and hundreds of clinics. We call it 100 clinic vision, but we want to see hundreds and hundreds of clinics established. Mother and child health centres in the Indian Ocean Gateway region. We've seen clinics established in Durban, South Africa, Kenya, and Can you see this ministry in your area? Can you see this ministry in your area? Why am I saying that? Shelley's got it down. Can you see this ministry in your area? Could you see this ministry in your area?
Any other stories you want to tell us?